somewhere. It was this red booth that had been made out of corflute with a simple shower curtain to close behind you. And on the side, it had in big letters the word confession booth, or words, confession booth. And then next to the cutout of the entrance, it had the phrase, "Want to get something off your chest?" ? And inside, it was simply a chair to sit on, and then this camera that was recording all these people's confessions, the things that they wanted to get off of their chest. I wonder what you would have confessed to the chair, to the camera this morning. To be honest, I was amazed at the things people needed to get off of their chest. There were obviously silly punters who swore at the box as they walked past or acted silly around their friends. In fact, the very first person who sat down, within 10 seconds, he walked out again and he said, "I'm not ready for this," and just walked off. But for the most part, people who were on their own decided to take to the booth, and they shared this real heaviness that was on their chest. For example, one young lady said, "I haven't talked to my mum in over a year, and I think it's my fault, and I don't know how to fix it." Another young man said, "I regret not reaching out to my older brother more. I haven't talked to him in 3 years." Another, "My mum passed away when I was 16, and I regret the last conversation I had with her. I wish I had a redo." And another man, "I'm homeless now. Doing drugs is something I do to survive, not because I want to." Some sat and talked with very little emotion, as if they'd become numb to the intensity of their pain. And others sat with just tears streaming down their face, almost this kind of relief to finally have said those words out loud. All this is going on while others are walking past this container, this box, and can hear everything that is being said on the other side of this corflute. The video certainly struck me for a number of reasons. How many people of all ages and stages of life were needing to share their struggle, and how willing they were willing to have someone, anyone, even if it was a camera with millions of people on the internet watching them, and how deep their pain was. I was reminded that as you walk past someone on the street, you have no idea what is happening in their life and what they're walking through. And I was struck by the confession booth. I mean, I've never been to a confessional booth in a Catholic church before, but most of us in Western society would associate it with the Catholic Church. And for many, maybe here, who have grown up in a Catholic church, if you have, you might have certain feelings towards confession. But what struck me about it was the opportunity that it created for these people to go deep in their pain and the struggle that they were having and voice it out loud. So what if I were to set up a confessional booth right now? Right? How many of us would feel comfortable sitting right here and expressing what is on our chest? I sense the tension. Isn't that a terrifying thought? It's not, of course, what I'm suggesting that we do. But I do wonder if we have people sitting amongst us today that you are able to share life deeply with. Mike and I have been to several churches over the years, and then in the past we've had to do the real difficult task of finding a home church. Anybody had to do that before? Yes, yeah. And here is something that we have noticed about trying to find a church. Churches are friendly places. Many churches will have someone welcome you at the door, maybe hand you a welcome flyer or a booklet if it's your first time. They greet new visitors up the front, even. And if it's a very friendly church, you may even be lucky enough to have someone come and talk to you after the service. Not as common as you might think. We have been part of churches where we have been going to for weeks or months or even years, and relationships have never gone any deeper than that friendly welcome and the small talk. These churches are full of friendly Christians that happen to gather at the same church on a Sunday. It's what I would describe as being tip of the iceberg churches, where relationships are all surface level. They never plunge beneath the water to see the deeper picture of what it means to be family, to be community. I'm sure you've all seen a picture of an iceberg where it's only a very small portion of the iceberg that floats above the surface, and deep beneath the water, yes, on the picture, for those of you who got a handout, there is this deep part of the iceberg that's submerged underneath the water. So church, our summer snack today is to build below the waterline iceberg community here at Beachlands Baptist. If you want to grow in your relationship with God, if you want to know the plans and the purpose that God has for your life, if you want to know the true meaning of what it means to be a Christian, then we must be involved in deep and intimate relationships with other believers. And I think the Kens being up the front today is just so evident of that, of the impact that you guys have made and that others have made on your lives. Those deep, beneath the water iceberg relationships. One of my favorite passages in Acts is from chapter 2, verses 42 to 47. I've talked about it before up the front, but today I just want to read to you verse 42. So it's a short one. Acts 2:42. All the believers devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and to fellowship and to sharing in meals, including the Lord's Supper, and to prayer. The word here, fellowship, that is being talked about is, in the Greek, it's this word koinonia. I'm hoping I'm saying that right. If I'm saying it wrong, well, too bad. This kind of fellowship that is being described here, it's intimate, right? Communion with one another. It's the same word that is used to describe the fellowship that we as believers share and have with Jesus. And it's the reason why the Father is faithful to us and his promises, because of the communion that we share with Jesus. This is the deep intimacy of fellowship that we are to have friendships and fellowships that are deeper than the how are yous and the how's work going and the how's your week been. It's being able to ask the question, how are you? And you be honest about that. As church whānau, we are to be exactly that, whānau. We are to be family, not simply a group of people that gather on a Sunday, but a family that lives life together in the day-to-day, that leans on one another. And on Sunday, it's when we gather as a family to worship our amazing God. That's the kind of church I want to be part of. If we want to see God move, if we want to see lives impacted for the kingdom, it means being vulnerable. It may mean breaking down some walls from past hurts. It means creating space to go deeper in each other's lives than simply the above the surface iceberg friendships. When I joined my first when I joined a life group at our last church, I came in a very broken place. I've spoken about this before. We were in the middle of IVF with very little support. I had been burnt out from our previous church as a youth pastor and was very anti-Christians. I loved Jesus. I didn't really care for his people too much anymore. They'd hurt me too much. So I let Mike pick the church that we were going to go to because as far as I was concerned, the walls were built up and I wasn't going to let anyone in. It was a very friendly church. Got welcomed at the door. Got my welcome pack that had its chocolate in its pen. Chocolate for Mike, pen for me, because I love a good pen. And then we even had someone talk to us afterwards. It was shocking. I don't know how many times I've stood in a church foyer and no one talked to us afterwards. But this time was different, right? The associate pastor sat with us and he answered all my questions about the church. And then I don't know how it happened. I seriously don't know how it happened. Within a month, we were in a home group. It just happened that we were in this life group. But I was determined that I was going to keep these people at arm's length because I was sick of being burnt by God's people. Well, it took one session for those walls to come crumbling down. And as a lady in her late 20s, it was the first time in my life that I can honestly say that I had friends. I'd had friendships where it was always very one way, where I was giving, but not always receiving. And this was the first time I could call someone up and say, I really need prayer. And they would do it. Not only that, they would come around to my house with a meal and leave it on my door. They were being Jesus' hands and feet in my life in a way that built my faith in a new way. You know, God talks about when Jesus is asked what is the greatest commandment? Love the Lord your God. But what else is attached to that? Love your neighbor. Because God understands that we are created to be in community, to be in relationship with one another in that same koinonia as we are with Jesus. And I had to break down walls. God had broke them down for me. I had to be vulnerable in a way that I had decided I wasn't going to be. And for the first time, I was able to rely on other people and know that they would look out for me. Home groups are important. Life groups, home groups, however you want to call them, they're important. When we do them well, when we're committed to them, it helps us to create that sense of family. It's not the only way, but it's certainly going to be a strong focus for us as a church this year, that we are committed to life groups and building those deep connections. I want us to be a church, and I hope we want us to be a church, where we're not just a group of believers that gather on a Sunday together, but we are a church family who do life together, and a Sunday is the place where we get to come as family to worship our amazing God. It can start with a life group, and it can start by having people round for lunch after church on a Sunday. Can I tell you a secret? We all have washing in a basket somewhere. We all have a pile of, maybe not all, I have a pile of dishes. I have washing piled up. We don't need to have our house pristine and perfect to invite people round. That's not who I am. My house has children in it. It's going to be messy. Come along and be family with me. You don't have to cook a 3-course meal to invite people for lunch. If all you have in the cupboard is jam sandwiches, that's food, isn't it? Let's invite people around for lunch. It doesn't matter how big your house is, how small your house is, how tidy your house is. Can we break that as a barrier? Mike and I have this thing of we need to tidy our house. That means we need to invite someone for dinner, because that's the way our house gets tidied. It's a very handy tool to have. Can I suggest that to you? To invite people round and start doing life together. You know, Jella's not here today. She's our youth pastor. She's been living on the coast for about 2 or 3 months now. Who's had her around for dinner? Who's had her around for lunch? All right. She's a young lady I know would love to be able to get to know her community. We're going to be moving soon. I expect to be fed, people. All right? And we're so excited to be able to invite you guys around to lunch at our house. Can we do that? Can we start seeing us be a family together? Get connected into a life group. Start having each other around in your lives. Make space for one another. Pray together. Be vulnerable together. Today, I want to introduce our life group leaders to you. So if the life group leaders could come up. If your leader is not here this morning, could you just come up and talk about your life group? So I'll stand here. Come on. Who's our life group leaders? Come on up. Here they come. Oh, there they are. As you can tell, they're very excited to be up the front here. On all the tables is also a brochure that's got all our life group leaders, their names, when they meet. I'll talk a little bit about Jella's one because Jella's not here. Jella is going to be starting a young adults life group. So if you are a young adult, whatever that means, 18 plus to whatever, Jella would love to connect with you and have you part of her life group. I'll talk as well. Mike and I are starting up a life group. Woo! Because we're living in the area. Woo! As of next week. Ours is kind of focused around families, like, with children, but we're also open to people. I know for Mike and myself, we love the fact that while we didn't have kids but felt like we were part of that life, that we were connected into a young family. So if that's you as well, you're a young couple, but you don't have kids, but that's where you feel you are, we want you to feel part of our group. Right, I'm going to go down here.
All right, yes. Shirley and ourselves are going to be starting a little group. And basically for people who live in Maraetai, around our area, try and keep it local. And yeah, maybe Shirley can update you on what that's going to look like. You want to do that?
Okay, sure. Yeah. So we live 124 Maraetai Drive. Across the road, the Jacksons live, and in between us is a paddock. So we figure that can be the car park, and it'll probably be at my house, maybe at theirs, depending on whose house is the tidiest and who's made the nicest cake. So we're hoping on a Wednesday, and we're hoping to start around the whatever that Wednesday is, 22nd or 3rd of February, because we have commitments to getting kids to uni and stuff. Our focus is going to be whoever kind of wants to come, and we're aiming to start from 7, but 7:30 we start. So you can rock up at 7 for coffee, dessert. 7:30 we will start, and we're hoping to do a prayer focus, looking at some of Peter Gregg's 24/7 stuff. There's a video, like a 20 to 30 minute video, and then discussion and prayer. And it will finish at 9:30 because lots of people have to get up at 5:30 to go to work at 6. So that's kind of the plan. If you're not out by 9:30, 9:45, I'll kick you out. But genuine, if you're interested, give us a call. And life group's just about doing life. Our life group was great. I went to the Jacksons with the Kenzas and a whole bunch of others here. And the reason we've got such good relationships is we did the good, the bad, and the ugly together, and we still loved each other. And that's why it is great. Iron sharpens iron. So please, if you're thinking you want to get involved, give us a call, either Russell or Catherine or myself, and we can have a chat. Oh, Fred, sorry.
That's right. Hello, I'm Fred and Betty over there. Most of you know us. We meet on Mondays at 7:15 at 1 Bellisi Way. That's down the west side of Beachlands, as far as you can go. You'll get your feet wet if you go any further. And anyone can come to our place. We also do an online session as well at the same time for those people who can't make it, so that works out quite well. And we just do everything like worship Jesus, pray, Bible study, eat, and eat a bit more. And usually at the end of the month, we go out and have a dinner somewhere or at home. But really, it's all about fellowship and worshipping Jesus. So come along. Everyone's welcome.
Cool. Thank you. My name is Leslie, Leslie Pierce. Oh, my name is Leslie Pierce. I attend Cheryl Gillen's home group. I co-host, so we share places between, like, my house at 128 Beechlands Road or Cheryl's at 114. We meet on Wednesdays at 7 o'clock. We usually start as a wee social time and have coffee and dessert and a chat. And then we start from about 7:30. We do a mixture of things, whether it's prayer, a Bible study, and we try to get together for dinners and social things too, regularly. So we're friendly, casual, welcoming, love to see new people. Yeah, Cheryl can't be here, that's why I'm here. So yeah, thanks.
Thanks, Leslie. Can I just say about our one as well is the way we're going to do ours is on a Wednesday. So ladies are going to meet one week, guys will meet the next week, and then the following week we'll have a family dinner where it's all in crazy kids food greatness. Okay, so that's how it'll be, so that we don't have to find babysitters all the time. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I can talk. Yeah, Ian and Michelle, we meet on a Thursday, 15 Sunkiss Bay. We have quite an interesting home group in terms of we really love to bring the Word of God. So we have a lot of real robust discussions. it's we kind of have teachings that anyone can bring if they have it on their hearts. So we all sort of participate. There's a lot of prayer, and of course a lot of eating. Don't come to our home group if you don't want to eat. So that's on Thursdays, 7 o'clock. All welcome.
Hey, so I love how eating is a theme. Oh, Jesus gathered around tables, didn't he? So we're starting a home group it'll be a pretty similar setup to the one Mel was talking about, probably for slightly older families. Not that that's